Okay, so we're diving deep today into Shimana Quantum Code, a journey into multidimensional healing and infinite love.
By Shima.
That's right. And I think, we both kind of wanted to take a crack at this one because,
Yeah.
it's out there.
It's a very popular book right now.
It's a very popular book. And I think, our listeners are,
It's trending.
yeah, they're probably seeing it everywhere. And they're like, okay, what's the gist?
What is this? What is it all about?
Yeah, what are we supposed to get from this?
Yeah.
What are the core ideas?
Right.
So our mission, if you choose to accept it, is to try to extract the core ideas.
Exactly.
And especially, this multidimensional healing and
Yeah.
infinite love stuff without getting
too
in the weeds.
Yeah, too esoteric.
Yeah,
Right.
too out there.
Too woo-woo.
Too woo-woo.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what we're going to try to do here is pull out the nuggets that matter.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And, I think starting with the author's own journey is a good place to begin.
Okay.
Because her journey into this whole world of healing and these ideas started from a very human place.
Yeah.
Witnessing a lot of suffering and just a deep desire to understand the roots of that suffering.
Okay.
And then how to heal from it, how to truly heal.
Okay.
And this quest, this, seeking
Yeah.
took her across, such a fascinating landscape of different traditions and ideas,
Right.
from ancient spiritual wisdom to modern scientific discoveries.
Mhm.
And then also, these time-honored healing methods that have been around for centuries.
Yeah.
And the core realization she arrived at
Okay.
through all of that was this fundamental truth
Yeah.
of our energetic and multidimensional nature.
Okay.
And I think that that's really where the Shimana Quantum Code starts.
Okay, so at its core,
Yeah.
if you had to kind of just give like an elevator pitch, what is this Shimana Quantum Code? Like, what's it all about?
It's presented as a dynamic, ever-evolving system for healing.
Okay.
So it's not like a set dogma or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's like a toolkit.
Okay.
Think of it as a toolkit
Okay.
that brings together several key components.
Okay.
The first component is sacred geometries.
Mm-hmm.
So, those fundamental patterns you see in nature,
Okay.
like spirals or branching of trees.
Mm-hmm.
But those are understood as energetic blueprints
Okay.
in this system.
Okay.
And then multidimensional frequencies,
Right.
which is this idea that, our reality exists on more levels than
Yeah.
just the physical.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Akashic intelligence.
Yeah.
It's like a universal library
Okay.
that contains the records of all that has been, is, and could be
Okay.
everything.
Wow. That's a lot of information.
Yeah, that's a lot of information.
Okay.
And then finally, there are energetic recalibration techniques.
Okay.
And cortices tapping is one example
Right.
that's mentioned in the book, which are ways to kind of help our energy systems come back into balance.
Okay.
So the goal with all of this is to bridge these different dimensions,
Okay.
the physical, the emotional, the spiritual,
Yeah.
to create these really profound shifts in our awareness.
So it's not just about fixing, a physical symptom or something like that, but
Right.
really about addressing deeper imbalances.
Deeper balances, exactly.
that are maybe manifesting as physical symptoms, but it's not just at that level.
Right. And I think, the book even goes so far as to suggest that a lot of the challenges we face
Mm-hmm.
in our lives
Yeah.
actually have their origins in these deeper energetic layers.
Oh, wow.
And it could even go back to what's held within these Akashic records.
Okay.
So that's part of this system,
Okay.
is accessing those realms to get to the root cause of things.
Wow. Okay, so we've got a lot to unpack here.
Yes, we do.
And, to make this manageable, we're focusing on the early chapters.
Yes.
So the introduction in chapters 1 through 3. So let's kick off with chapter 1,
Okay.
which is called The Song of Creation, Infinite Love and the Healing Frequency.
Okay.
What is the central theme here?
The central theme that we really want to tune into
Yeah.
is this idea that we are, at our essence, multidimensional consciousness,
Okay.
expressing ourselves through energy, vibration, and form.
Okay.
And to kind of sum this up,
Mm.
the author actually rephrases a quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
And she says, "We are energetic beings having a human experience."
Wow.
Right. And so that really kind of reframes our whole existence.
Yeah, it puts a different spin on things.
It does.
Okay.
And then she also highlights Nikola Tesla's famous emphasis on understanding the universe through energy, frequency, and vibration.
Right.
So, that's kind of the scientific backing behind all of this.
Okay.
Because everything at its most basic level is in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is vibrating.
Okay.
Has a frequency.
Right.
And that's what creates our reality.
So we hear about good vibes all the time. Right, exactly.
But how does the book actually delve into this idea of frequency?
Well, it gets down to the atomic level,
Okay.
reminding us that everything is made up of electrons.
Mm.
But electrons aren't just these solid little balls.
Right.
They behave as waves in an energy field.
Okay.
And so frequency, which is measured in hertz,
Okay.
is essentially the rate at which those waves vibrate
Okay.
per second.
Okay.
So everything is vibrating at a certain frequency.
Okay.
And that frequency defines its nature.
Okay. So then where do our thoughts fit into all this?
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting because
Yeah.
the book really stresses that every single thought we have carries its own specific vibration.
Wow.
And this isn't just some abstract idea.
Right.
This vibration has a real impact on our physical body and our entire energetic field.
Okay.
And there's a powerful quote from Gandhi that's referenced here to underscore this.
Okay.
And he said, "Man is the product of his thoughts, what he thinks he becomes."
And so, this really ties into the law of attraction.
Right. Yeah, we've all heard about the law of attraction.
Right.
But this book kind of puts a different spin on it.
Yes, it does, because it links this concept of thought vibrations directly to the law of attraction.
Okay.
Suggesting that attracts on an energetic level.
Mm-hmm.
So if our dominant thoughts are negative,
Right.
fueled by fear or worry,
Mm-hmm.
we're more likely to draw those kinds of experiences into our lives.
Right.
And conversely, cultivating positive, loving thoughts creates a different kind of resonance.
Right.
And that attracts more positive outcomes.
So it's not just a mental exercise. It's
Right.
really an energetic shift
It's an energetic shift.
that happens.
Exactly. And what's interesting is how Shimana really frames this law of attraction.
Okay.
Not just as, like a mental thing,
Yeah.
but as a direct consequence of our fundamental energetic vibration.
Okay.
Almost suggesting like a quantum resonance
Yeah.
with the experiences we attract.
Wow. That's a really interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the chapter introduces this analogy of a sky tower and an elevator
Yes.
with upward and downward triangles representing our choices.
Right.
Can you paint that picture for us?
Yes. So imagine waking up each morning
Okay.
and you're at the ground floor of this massive sky tower.
Okay.
And, you get in this elevator
Mm-hmm.
and there are two buttons,
Okay.
an upward pointing triangle and a downward pointing triangle.
Okay.
And throughout our day, with every choice we make,
Mm-hmm.
from our thoughts and words to our actions,
Right.
we're essentially pressing one of those buttons.
Okay.
The upward triangle represents choices that elevate our frequency,
Okay.
and the downward one leads to lower states.
Okay.
Each floor of the tower represents a different vibrational level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So starting the day with meditation or gratitude practice or positive affirmations, that's intentionally pressing the up
It
button,
is hitting the up button.
taking us to higher floors.
Yes. And the book proposes that engaging in those kinds of morning practices
Mm-hmm.
really helps to set that tone for the day
Okay.
and potentially align us with, what's described as a fifth dimensional state of being,
Okay.
which is this realm of love, harmony, and a greater sense of, effortless manifestation.
Right.
Things just kind of flow more easily.
When we're at those higher levels.
Exactly.
But, life throws curveballs.
It does.
What happens when, things happen that we don't want,
Right.
that
Yeah.
maybe push us down to a lower level?
Well, the analogy continues
Okay.
by emphasizing that even when those external events,
Yeah.
try to push our button downwards,
Mm-hmm.
we always have that power to choose to press that upward triangle again.
Okay.
It's about cultivating that inner awareness
Okay.
and that resilience
Mm-hmm.
to not let those external circumstances
Yeah.
dictate our internal energetic state.
Okay.
If we don't make that conscious effort
Yeah.
to redirect our energy, we might find ourselves stuck in the basement,
Yeah.
which is a metaphor for those lower vibrational states where
Right.
fear and limitation dominate our experience.
Right.
And the world around us starts to kind of reflect that.
Yeah. It seems like a downward spiral.
It can be, yeah. But the key takeaway is we always have the choice
Okay.
to elevate our vibration and step back into that field of love and possibility
Okay.
that's always available to us.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the chapter takes an interesting turn.
Okay.
It compares this idea of heart-centeredness
Mm-hmm.
with traditional spiritual concepts like Buddhism's anatta
Right.
and Brahmanism's Atman.
Yeah.
And this was really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So can you break down how the book positions this heart-centeredness
Yeah.
in relation to these concepts of self and non-self?
So both Buddhism and Brahmanism offer these profound paths toward transcendence.
Okay.
Buddhism, with its concept of anatta or non-self, essentially teaches that this idea of a fixed permanent self is an illusion
Okay.
and is a source of suffering.
Right.
So enlightenment in this view
Okay.
comes from releasing our attachment to that egoic self.
Oh.
Brahmanism, on the other hand, proposes that our individual self, the Atman,
Mm-hmm.
is fundamentally identical to the ultimate reality,
Okay. I get.
Brahman.
Okay.
And liberation arises from realizing this underlying oneness.
Okay. So two very different paths.
They are.
One is about dissolving the illusion of self.
Right.
And the other is about recognizing the self as part of this larger universal self.
Yeah.
Where does heart-centeredness, as presented in the book,
All right.
kind of diverge from these established paths?
Well, the book makes this compelling argument that while both traditions offer deep insights,
Yeah.
they remain in different ways,
Okay.
rooted in the realm of the mind.
Okay.
So Buddhism emphasizes transcending the mind as the creator of illusion,
Right.
while Brahmanism uses the intellect to realize the ultimate oneness. But Shimana suggests that the mind itself, with its tendency to analyze, categorize,
Yeah.
create narratives,
Right.
can also be a source of limitation
Mm.
and even suffering.
Okay.
So the limitation here
Mm-hmm.
is that they're both still operating largely within the sphere of thought
Right.
and intellectual understanding.
So the heart offers a different kind of knowing.
Different way of being.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. The author states, the mind analyzes, but the heart knows.
Oh, wow.
The mind separates, but the heart unites.
Mm-hmm.
The mind seeks truth, but the heart embodies it.
Wow.
And this really gets to the core of why the book suggests that neither complete self-denial
Okay.
nor a sole focus on the individual self
Right.
fully liberates us from suffering,
Okay.
because we're still kind of up in our heads.
Right. We're still in that mental space.
Yeah. So heart-centeredness offers a different route,
Okay.
one that moves beyond the limitations of the intellect
Okay.
and really taps into a deeper wisdom.
Okay. And so this heart-centered approach is this merger of wisdom and love.
Yes.
Accessing this deeper kind of knowing.
Absolutely. It's not about obliterating the self
Okay.
or just focusing on, personal gain.
Yeah.
It's about expanding our awareness into a deeper truth that integrates both wisdom and love.
Okay.
And this is what allows us to access what the book calls divine intelligence
Okay.
and tap into that universal flow of infinite love.
Okay.
And what's fascinating here is the implication that solely relying on a mind-based understanding
Mm-hmm.
might keep us at a certain distance from the direct experience of these deeper truths.
Okay.
It's like we're trying to think our way to enlightenment,
Right.
but the heart offers a more direct path.
Okay. So the heart is the central point, this vital connection.
It's like this bridge
Yeah.
between all these different aspects of existence.
Right. It's the connector.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And the book describes the heart as the portal connecting the physical and the spiritual.
Okay.
The individual self and the vast universe
Right.
are human experience and infinite consciousness.
It's bridging all those different realms.
It is. It's bringing them all together.
Okay.
And so it's about shifting our dominant road of awareness from the thinking of the mind
Okay.
to the feeling-based intelligence of the heart.
Okay.
So moving from, thinking to being
Right.
present in our heart.
And the mind tends to create separation.
The mind loves to draw boundaries,
Yeah.
categorize things,
Yeah.
create a sense of us versus them.
Right.
And it can often get caught in narratives of fear
Yeah.
and lack,
Yeah.
the sense that there's not enough
Scarcity.
scarcity, exactly.
Yeah.
Heart-centeredness is about the direct experience of our inherent wholeness,
Okay.
our deep connection to this boundless love that permeates the universe.
It's already complete.
Already complete, yes.
Okay.
We don't have to get there. We're
Yeah.
already there.
Right. Yeah.
We just have to remember
Yeah.
and feel it.
Okay.
That's the key.
So by making the shift to heart-centeredness,
Yeah,
we can move beyond the frequency of suffering.
that's right.
Ah.
And embody a truth that transcends all these intellectual debates
Right.
about self and non-self.
Oh, okay.
Moving beyond the mind.
Beyond the mind, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Yeah.
The big invitation here in this chapter
Yes.
is to evolve beyond a predominantly mind-centered existence
Yes.
and awaken to what the book calls quantum intelligence.
Yes, the innate wisdom of the heart.
Okay.
And the authors suggest that the heart doesn't grapple with problems through endless analysis.
Mm-hmm.
It dissolves them by shifting our energetic frequency.
Wow.
Right. So it's not about figuring things out. It's about being.
Being okay.
Right.
Okay. And this leads to a concept that's actually talked about quite a bit in the book. And it's a concept that you hear a lot, you know, when people are talking about, you know, spirituality and things like that, which is heart coherence.
Yes.
So what is heart coherence?
Heart coherence is a state where the heart's rhythmic, electrical, and magnetic fields become synchronized and harmonious. And they align with the natural rhythms of life.
So it's like everything's flowing together.
Everything's flowing together beautifully in this state. There's a profound sense of calm, mental clarity, and emotional resilience. You know, it's like an orchestra. Where all the instruments are playing in perfect harmony. Your whole system is working together smoothly. Yeah.
All right. So that lays the groundwork for chapter 2.
It does.
Which is called The Resonance of the Heart, Unlocking the Gateway to Infinite Love. What new layers does this chapter add?
This chapter really dives deeper into the power of the heart. And it starts by referencing scientific research that validates these ancient wisdom traditions that have long recognized the heart as being more than just a physical pump. It's an energetic center, a powerful transmitter of what the book calls divine intelligence. And the concept of heart coherence is explored further, emphasizing how this state of internal harmony actually resonates with the universal flow. And it impacts not only our emotions and thoughts, but even our electromagnetic field that extends out from our bodies. Yeah. So it's not just an internal experience. It's like we're actually radiating this coherence outwards.
So it's affecting the world around us.
Exactly. And that's, you know, a key part of this whole Shimana Quantum Code.
So it's not just about feeling good. It's about, you know.
It's about creating a more harmonious world.
It's affecting everything around us.
Exactly. Yeah.
The chapter then introduces this idea of accessing heart-centered intelligence through intentional inquiry.
Yes.
How does that work?
So the book offers this very simple yet powerful technique.
You
know, when you're facing a challenge or feeling confused or needing to make a decision instead of immediately turning to your mind for answers.
Yeah, we tend to do that.
We do.
Yeah.
The suggestion is to pause. Place your hands over your heart. Take a few deep breaths. Cultivate that inner stillness. And then ask yourself specific questions. Like, what would love do in this situation? Or, what does my heart already know?
So we're tapping into intuition here.
Tapping into intuition.
Yeah.
And the book emphasizes that the insights that arise from this kind of inquiry might not always be logical or linear in the way that the mind expects, but they will resonate with a deeper sense of truth. You know, a knowing that transcends the intellect.
So it's a different kind of knowing.
A different kind of knowing.
And just thinking through something.
Exactly. It's more of a feeling, a sense of intuition.
An intuition.
Yeah. And living from the heart then becomes more than just a technique.
It does.
It's a fundamental shift.
It's a shift in how we engage with life. You know, it's like an initiation into a higher state of being where we're not constantly seeking answers through mental processing. But we're receiving wisdom by being fully present in the heart.
In the heart,
And in this state, truth isn't something we have to figure out. It's something we recognize.
We just know.
You just know, and feel. And when we operate from this heart-centered space, it's like we're moving through life more in alignment with that universal flow.
As a natural extension of the divine flow. Exactly.
The chapter also uses this beautiful analogy of welcoming thoughts as guests in the heart. Referencing Rumi's poem, The Guest House. How does that image kind of illuminate this concept?
It's so powerful because instead of viewing our thoughts, especially the negative or intrusive ones, as enemies to be fought or suppressed.
We do that a lot.
We do. We try to push them away.
Yeah.
But in heart-centered living, we learn to see them more as temporary visitors, messengers passing through, just as Rumi's poem invites us to welcome all emotions and thoughts, even the unpleasant ones, as opportunities for learning and growth.
Right.
The heart becomes this space of unconditional acceptance. It's a safe space, a welcoming space.
So the heart is like a guest house.
It is. Yeah. It's this beautiful guest house.
Where all thoughts are welcome.
All thoughts are welcome, no matter what they are. They're allowed to enter without judgment or resistance. And in that spaciousness, they can be observed with compassion. And they can be transmuted into peace.
So it's a shift from that struggle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we often have with our mind, trying to control our thoughts. Instead, we're offering them a place of refuge.
In the heart.
In the heart. Yeah.
And in this process, the heart acts as kind of a sacred filter. Right?
Yes, it filters those thoughts and emotions. And returns them to their essence. Which is love.
So fear dissolves in the presence of love.
Fear dissolves in love.
Anger transforms into forgiveness.
Exactly.
It's this continuous, gentle process of shifting from those reactive patterns to a state of presence.
To a state of presence.
So by surrendering our thoughts and emotions to the heart, we're tapping into this inexhaustible source of love and compassion.
That's right.
Hey.
And that has the power to transform us from the inside out.
It's like a continual process.
It is.
Refinement.
Of refinement, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Now, the book also talks about resting the mind and the heart as a form of meditation. And how does this differ from more traditional meditation practices?
So traditional meditation often emphasizes quieting the mind. Detaching from our thoughts. Trying to achieve a state of stillness. And sometimes the techniques can feel like a struggle. But Shimana Quantum Code offers a different approach. It's more about guiding our awareness back to the heart. So instead of trying to silence the mind, we're gently guiding it back home.
To the heart.
To the heart. And thoughts aren't seen as intruders. They're seen as visitors. To be welcomed and held within the heart's loving embrace.
So it's about creating a space of awareness around our thoughts.
Loving awareness. Rather than trying to eliminate them.
Exactly. And each thought, no matter how disruptive or painful it might seem, is viewed as an opportunity for transformation.
When it's held in the heart.
When it's held in the heart.
Yeah.
So the heart offers this non-judgmental acceptance, allowing these thoughts to soften their grip.
And eventually dissolve back into the field of love where they came from. So it was really about fostering this harmonious internal dialogue.
Between the mind and the heart.
And the mind can process. And the heart integrates and heals.
It's like a team effort.
It is a team effort.
Yeah. And compassion plays a central role in all of this.
Compassion is key. Both for ourselves and for our thoughts. It's this gentle yet powerful, loving force that transforms things. When we invite our thoughts and emotions to rest in the heart, it's an act of holding them in divine love. And that extends to every part of our being. Every difficult emotion, every old wound, every unspoken longing.
It's all welcome.
It's all welcome.
In the heart.
In the heart. It's about radical self-compassion. Allowing ourselves to be fully seen, fully held, and loved.
Unconditionally loved.
Unconditionally loved. Exactly as we are.
This sounds a lot more accessible.
I think it is. To try to completely silence the mind.
Because that can be very challenging.
It can be, yeah. So this offers a path.
That doesn't require us to fight against our own minds.
It's about embracing all aspects of our experience.
That is part of our healing.
And it's part of our healing journey.